episode, we dive into the heart of family communication. What we say, what we don't say, and what we wish we could say. Plus, we spotlight actor and powerlifter Ken Bray, explore healing conversations in common ground, drop a fresh pearl of positivity, and share real ways you can support your community's food pantries. Let's get into today's playlist. Welcome back, beautiful people, to another powerful episode of the Positivity Playlist podcast. I'm your host, Virtue, and today we're diving into one of the most transformative topics we've ever explored: family communication. What we say, what we don't say, and what we wish we could say.
Yes, and we have an incredible show lined up, from emotional healing to building bridges to our amazing artist spotlight with actor and powerlifter Ken Bray. Plus, we'll share ways you can support your local food pantries and uplift your community.
So settle in, take a breath, and open your heart for today's journey.
Yes, and we have an incredible show lined up, from emotional healing to building bridges to our amazing artist spotlight with actor and powerlifter Ken Bray. Plus, we'll share real ways you can support your local food pantries and uplift your community.
This segment of the Positivity Playlist podcast is powered by Craig Consulting Group, a Cleveland-based boutique firm that has been championing entrepreneurs and community organizations for more than 3 decades. Founded and led by strategic business expert Samia Bray, Craig Consulting pairs big picture vision with roll up your sleeves execution. So your great idea doesn't just sound good, it actually grows. Whether you need a laser-focused startup roadmap, grant-ready business plans, or a scalable marketing strategy, Craig Consulting delivers customized guidance that meets you where you are and propels you where you want to go. Ready to level up? Schedule a free 30-minute discovery call today at 216-682-5349 and mention Positivity Playlist for an exclusive resource bundle designed to kickstart your next milestone. Craig Consulting Group, turning clarity into action and action into impact. Let's get back to the show. Welcome to Roots to Wings. This segment where we ground ourselves in truth so we can rise higher in our healing. Today, we're going deep. Family communication, what we say, what we don't say, and what we wish we could say. Ooh, that's a whole journey in itself.
Yeah.
You know, family is supposed to be your safe place, your grounding place. But for so many of us, it becomes the first battlefield we ever experience. We learn early what's okay to talk about,
Yes.
what stays behind closed lips and closed doors, and sometimes those lessons follow us into our adulthood, even when they no longer serve us.
That's exactly right. And in every family, there are layers: spoken truths, unspoken expectations, generational habits, emotional patterns.
Yeah.
Some families talk loud, some talk soft, and some don't talk at all. Communication isn't just words, it's tone, silence, avoidance, glances, body language. It's the whole emotional landscape. And to be honest, sometimes the silence speaks louder than words.
Yeah, it's nothing like that glance. No, we were growing up, it would kind of be like, we were in church and we giggling like you doing now. And that look come across the room like, it's like,
right, you are, straight.
Okay. So, yeah, exactly though. I'm thinking about how a lot of us grew up in households where communication really wasn't necessarily modeled in a healthy way. Maybe emotions weren't welcomed. Maybe you couldn't even ask the question sometimes in some households, or maybe your feelings. I'm thinking about those in our audience. Maybe your feelings were dismissed or even minimized. Maybe you were the strong one, You know, the one that nobody ever checked in on you because you were always taking care of other people. So now here we are as adults trying to navigate relationships with the same people who taught you how to speak or how to stay silent. I know I've talked to some people and they say, I hate going home for the holidays because I feel like I'm a kid again.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, what? But that's a real thing that, you know, we leave home, we have our adult lives, and then when it's like those holidays, we can kind of get back into some of those patterns that maybe we don't feel so safe about.
I agree. And one thing, most of the time, the communication issues that we have today didn't start with us.
That's true.
They started with the generation before us.
Or before them.
Right. Yeah. And if your parents never learned how to express emotions, how could they teach you? And if their parents couldn't express their emotions and could apologize or communicate boundaries, how could they model something they never saw?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about things like, you know, real men don't cry.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of things that we get told. Or here's one. If somebody hit you, you better knock them out.
Wait a minute. We don't have to do that? No. You sure?
Okay. We don't have to do that. But, I mean, a lot of people were told that, and we're still dealing with that now.
Yeah.
You know.
We're dealing with a lot of generational communication gaps.
Yeah, that too.
And a lot of us are trying to heal communication wounds that didn't even begin with us.
Yeah.
But they can end with us.
Yeah. It's almost like they call it, well, one term is the sandwich generation, right? Where it's like you're trying to fix the wounds over here while at the same time create a healthy environment for those who might be entrusted in you as parent or guardian or whatever at the same time that you're trying to heal yourself.
Okay.
So that can seem like a lot of work.
Now that's different for me. You said a sandwich.
The sandwich generation. Kind of caught in the middle. Okay. Right? You got the stuff over here you're trying to fix. You get the stuff over there you're trying to work out. And then you yourself are trying to figure out, you know, where do you fit into all of this? So let's talk about that first layer. What we say. These are the words that actually come out of our mouths. The things we feel comfortable expressing, the conversations we're used to having. But sometimes we say in surface level, I'm fine. It's whatever. I don't care.
That's a big one.
Everybody know you care.
Right.
Not you, literally, but
maybe.
You know.
Maybe.
And these phrases, you know, they become our armor, but like underneath, we're really hurting. We're confused.
Yeah.
We're disappointed. We're feeling fear. And all of these things don't allow ourselves to really come out, our authentic selves. It's like we're playing the roles that we have within family. So I'm glad tonight that we're discussing, you know, what is that communication look like? Because the first thing people say, it didn't work out because of communication, right? And
it's like, what does it look like?
What does it look like?
And how can you make it healthy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we're going to move into the second layer.
Okay.
What we don't say, that's a biggie. What we don't say. That quiet space, the tension, those feelings that sit in the back of our throat, but never really come out.
Right.
You know, it's important to have a voice, but a lot of times you kind of hide that and you shrink a little bit and you act like you're okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I think some of that stuff, like you said, is generational. It's like we're taught that there's this unconscious agreement in society that there's certain things everybody kind of knows them, but you're not supposed to talk about them. You're not supposed to acknowledge them. You're not supposed to say them out loud. And if you do, you're the bad one. Not you literally, but you're the bad one. Maybe. If you say it out loud.
Sometimes, maybe.
Really, sometimes? Okay. So like I'm thinking about, let me say something real quick, for example, before you continue. Okay. I don't know about you all, but I know people who play this game right here. And I don't like this game. But it's people that play this game. And they call it politeness.
Okay.
So what do you want to do? Right?
Okay.
Now they know full well in their heart of hearts, they really want to, I'll say in this case, go to a specific restaurant.
Okay.
Right? They know that's what they want to do. But then they ask me, what do you want to do? And now it's like, okay, I got to try to mental telepathy figure out which restaurant they want to go to and answer it like, go to some.
Right.
And then if you don't get it right, then they mad. Like, oh, you sure that's what you want to do? So, okay, so they ask the question, what do you want to do? I answer it honestly. This is what I want to do. Now you mad because I didn't answer the question the way you wanted me to answer the question.
Okay.
Right? And now, well, now you got a manipulation going on. So do you really want to go to that place?
Right.
You sure you don't want to go to the place they really wanted to go to in the first place? Okay, so that's why I don't like that game, y'all. I'm going to tell y'all why I don't like that game. I don't like that game because I feel like this. If you want to go wherever you want to go, just say, hey, why don't we go to so-and-so place? Mm-hmm. Why you got to be like, not her. She don't do this. But y'all know people who do this. Why you got to be like, well, what you want to do? And then when I say something different, then you like, no, I don't want to go to that. You sure you want to go? All these other little hints. You try to drop hints to what you want me to answer. Y'all, if you play that game, if you doing that game, stop it. I'm just going to say that out loud. Stop it. Because underneath, you be making people mad. Okay? No. I'm not no mad. Who did it? Who did it? Who did it? Who be doing that? Don't do it, y'all. Don't do it. No, but that's that stuff, right? It's like, underneath, that person really knows what it is that they want, but we've been taught generationally in the name of politeness, respect, that you don't force other people to do what you want to do, even though you really do want to force them to do what you want to do. You kind of talk around it and drop them hints, and there's this dance going on, when in reality, that's not really what you're talking about.
Yeah, so your honesty becomes something rude.
Yeah, now you're rude. Yeah. Well, I mean, as kids though, children go straight at it. They like, look here, bah. And then we start like that, right? As children, we start like that, being able to give clear communication. Mm-hmm. And then what? They get punished.
Well, you learn from society, and that's something that people do.
Yes.
So that's something to heal in our community, to change that.
Yes.
Yes. Those feelings caught deep in the back of your throat that you can't quite get out and say, like, you hurt my feelings. Or, a big one, I need you. Like, ugh, that hurt even saying it. Like, I need you. But I do. I need you.
Yeah.
I want a better relationship with you. I don't feel heard. I wish we talked more. And I'm tired of always being the strong one. Mm. So I know many of you can relate to one, if not all of those things. So that's why it's important to talk about it, because when you don't get those things out, it eats you up inside. And these are things where families need to apologize. Families need to be vulnerable and show some kind of weakness so that others can see that it's okay to be that way, to feel those things, instead of brushing things under the rug, which seems to be a big tradition in our community. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I can relate to that, because I'm thinking about how those things just never get said, or those apologies never happen, and then years pass by and people start passing on, transitioning, or people start thinking, I don't even remember why I was mad with them anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, there was that thing that happened over there a long time ago, and neither one of y'all feel the same way anymore. But because we've gotten so used to not talking about it,
yes,
right, then somehow it's okay. And it's not. It's not. We're not. And that,
So
that makes me think about, that's almost like when you get too many of those happening in the background. Imagine, okay, so we have our phones, right? Imagine if you had too many apps open on your phone and it started moving slow, right?
right.
You got too many family conflict, communication, things that were never said, things that were never healed, whatever's going on in the background.
Yeah.
It makes it difficult to function in your normal day. It makes it hard to even be able to have a conversation sometimes, because that thing will have your mind, you be thinking about how you mad with somebody, and you can't even have a conversation in the present with the person that you're talking to because you caught up in something back there. So there's value in that. Now, there's the piece. You got to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Because in some families, it's not a safe and healthy place to say everything that you need to say. So that's where things like trusted friends, or I like to say, sometimes your family is the family you choose and not always the family that you were born into. Because sometimes that's your safe place.
Yeah.
And
Chosen family.
The chosen family.
Yeah, chosen family.
And then there's also, there's those times where, you may have to seek professional experience, like we talked about in other sessions, whether it be a therapist or a counselor or something like that, because there's nothing wrong with those things either. And then I saw a tool, and this is the last thing that I'm thinking about on this point. I saw a tool that I think is very effective, and it's like using a surrogate. So it's like sometimes when you have something, a family matter that you just cannot talk to that person about, maybe the person has passed on, maybe the person is alive, but they dead to you, right? They really not talking to you. You really not talking to them. Y'all can't talk to one another, but you still have a need to get that out of you. Yeah. So you could get a trusted person who is a surrogate who you can have that conversation with. Because at the end of the day, it's really about getting it out of you and not carrying that trauma and that brokenness.
That's a different way to look at things.
Mm-hmm.
A surrogate.
And then there's the third layer, what we wish we could say. Whoo, this one. This is the hard space. This is those conversations we have with ourselves after whatever it was, and we're like, you know what, I should have told them. I meant to tell them. I would have told them. And those things also, we have to be careful with those things, because those things embed up on our own subconscious. And those things can bring harm to us because they keep replaying the hurt. So it's important to keep those things in mind. And maybe we begin to say things that, like, you wish you said, like, I forgive you.
Yes.
But you're not ready to say, I forgive you. So maybe you wish you could say, I love you. But the relationship is complicated. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you wish you could tell your sibling, I miss the closeness we used to have.
Yeah.
I need you more than when I was younger. Or I'm proud of you, but you don't know quite where to start. Yeah. So those things can carry a lot of weight. So in today's conversation, we're going to explore some of that. We're going to model some of that. We're going to walk through some of that. And we're going to share some tools and some resources that speak to kind of why some of that stuff is happening in our lives.
Exactly. So here's the truth to sit with. Healing begins when honesty enters the room. And honesty doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be confrontational. It can be gentle. It can be thoughtful. It can be, hey, I want to talk because I want our relationship to be better. It can be, I'm trying to learn healthier communication and I'd like us to try together.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that requires both. Yeah. And so I guess we'll wrap up this section, or get ready to wrap this section up, by saying communication isn't about fixing everything overnight. It's about being willing to enter into the conversation. Both parties being willing to enter into the conversation with love, not blame.
Yeah. And sometimes the first step isn't talking to them, it's talking to yourself, acknowledging your own feelings, your needs and your boundaries and your wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take a moment. Yeah, take a moment for a reflective pause.
Okay.
Y'all know we do that. We get to breathing and stuff over here. If you're listening to us right now, what would you say?
I would say think about someone in your family that you wish you could talk to more openly and think about it. What would you say? What haven't you said? And what you truly wish you could say?
Yeah.
And what would change if you just had one thing to say out loud?
And here's the thing, communication isn't just about speaking, it's about listening. Most of it is about listening because I personally believe that conflict is not a bad thing. I think when people are angry, they say what they really mean,
Okay.
they say what they really feel. It may be what we wish they didn't mean or what we wish they didn't feel, but I think when people really get angry, whether it's real or not, whether it's real or Memorex, whether it's true or not, they say what they feel. And then if we can listen without judgment, without emotion, and really hear,
Yeah.
then we don't have the need to be defensive and explain to them why they shouldn't feel that way. We can truly hear them. And when we hear them, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it challenges our narrative of who we believe that person is supposed to be, or even who we are, it reveals what we weren't prepared to hear. And in that, it allows us the place for healing communications, healing conversations, maturity, patience, grace for ourselves and for others.
Yeah. And sometimes the conversation won't be received the way that we want. Sometimes people aren't ready to hear our truth. Sometimes they don't have the emotional tools to meet us where we are. But doing your part, speaking from love, not anger, clarity, not confusion, that is powerful. That is freeing. So it's time for that.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, for me, family communication is about connection. It's about building bridges instead of walls. It's about creating new patterns for the generations coming after us. And it's about modeling for our young people because they see how we communicate with one another.
Yeah.
And that helps them decide how they're going to move through this world with us and others. So something as simple as, you know what, can we talk?
Yes.
And like really mean it, right?
Yes.
Like really mean it. And then hear the other person.
Yeah. So let's take away a message here. Your voice matters. Your feelings matter. The conversations you've been afraid to start might be the very conversations that bring the most healing. And not just for you, but your entire family. You know, one spark from you can cause a ripple. Like
Yeah.
that time when you drop a pebble in and the
Bloop.
ripples go out.
Bloop.
You know, when people see you being strong, sometimes you're an inspiration to others around you, even when you don't feel like that you are. So that's just a takeaway.
Yeah. And I would say for me, it's remembering that communication is not easy.
No.
But more importantly, silence, it costs us too much. Because it's too much time lost with family, not loving on family, because of something that happened in the past.
Yes.
And I think that saying goes, you know, the past was yesterday, the future isn't here yet, all we have is the present. And how many years have we lost because of silence? So,
Man. I'm laughing, but not because it's funny, but because it is so powerful. And even hearing you say that right now, how powerful it is to me to hear that. And I'm talking about it, but it's relevant to me.
Yeah.
It's relevant to me. And so I know it will be relevant to you out there. But now let's shift our gears and step into our artist spotlight.
Yes.
Yeah. So up next, we're talking with actor and powerlifter Ken Bray about his journey, his roles, and his discipline. You will not want to miss this.
Hey, Positivity Playlist family. Are you or a brand you love looking for a fresh, uplifting platform to shine on? Our listeners are parents, creatives, community builders, and go-getters who tune in every week for motivation, music, and real-life tools. By becoming an official Positivity Playlist sponsor, your message lands on the ears and hearts of an engaged, value-driven audience that's ready to support the companies and causes they support. We offer tiered packages and can include on-air shoutouts, social media features, and custom integrations that weave your story seamlessly into our show. Ready to amplify your impact and grow alongside our movement of good vibes? Email sponsor@positivityplaylist.com to grab your media kit and book a discovery chat. Join us, empower our community, and let's spread positivity together. All right, family. Hello. It is time for the Artist Spotlight, where we highlight creators and talents who inspire through their gifts, their discipline, and their purpose. Today, we have a powerful guest in the building. He's an actor whose roles command attention and a dedicated power lifter whose discipline tells its own story. And most importantly, he is our little big brother. Hey. So we sat in, yes, we are siblings, and yes, we sat in order of birth. So, there, and there. Wait, you figure out which is the oldest and which is the youngest. We'll let y'all figure that part out.
I think I should be on one of these ends. We're not sure which end, but we'll get into it, I guess.
Clearly, Ken is a storyteller, a powerhouse, and a man who brings intention to everything he does.
Yes.
Whether he's on the set or in the gym, his presence, his craft, and his commitment speaks volumes. Ken, welcome to the Positivity Playlist podcast.
All right.
Yay.
Even though he is a Browns fan.
Okay. See, we already started there, and we didn't even make it 2 sentences into this thing. I don't have a teleprompter, but that and that says that I'm supposed to greet and respond. So, hello.
That's the actor in him.
And that's why it is never a dull time in our family communications. Your turn.
But
Greet the people.
I am absolutely honored to be here amongst my siblings, my 2 older sisters, and it actually feels a little bit weird talking about myself to my family because, believe it or not, I generally do not take pleasure in talking about myself like that. But I think I may have some things that are worth hearing at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us a little about, I'm going to start out with his early acting. I remember when he was little, right? Because I'm proud of being the older sister because I get to be the boss. So, when we were younger, he would so he was making movies and stuff, and he would take the screen out of the window and jump out the window and film himself jumping out the window for little action movies that he was making. And I remember him really educating us and getting us into things like special effects and how movies were made, and it really changed my movie going experience. And so now today, to see that you are an accomplished actor, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the projects that you've worked on or are working on, but every actor has a moment when their passion turns into their purpose. Mm-hmm. And I would start by saying, what's that moment for you? When did acting call your name and it was okay, it's time to make this official?
When did it call my name? Well, first of all, you trade a little PTSD.
Jumping out the window with the videos.
Because I do my own stunts. I am a African-American Jackie Chan. You could
Okay.
say a Blackie Chan. Can we say that?
You can say a
You
Blackie
can say
Chan.
that? Blackie
You can say
Chan.
Blackie Chan.
Okay.
Hashtag positivity playlist podcast.
And as far as the moment where it kind of just became a thing, honestly, I don't know. I mean, it was something that was a passion of mine when I was young, and I grew up dreaming of being, in front of the cameras and being on the screen and being the hero in movies and TV. But being a child of the 80s and going to the mall and the different, I'm not gonna name any names, but the different agencies that all turned out to be scams kind of put a damper on all that, on the reality, or what seemed to be the reality of the movie industry. And then flash forward later in life, and I had the opportunity to talk to an actual for real agent.
Okay.
And I went down, a friend of mine suggested I should go and talk to an agent. And I went down and talked to this agent, and they signed me on the spot. And I wasn't expecting. I was completely and absolutely sarcastic and skeptical about the whole thing. And I was like, yeah, I'll go and talk to your little agent. And I go and I talk, and they like me, and they signed me to a contract, and that kind of is what started it. And when I got my first booking, it was for
Yeah, you can say a paint company.
Yeah, a paint company.
Large
It
paint
was for a large paint company.
Okay.
And when when I saw how much it was paying, I went, wait, this is how much actors make? And I did not realize, that, and I guess sort of wrapped up in that was my aha moment that this can really be a thing. And that it can be a real job. It's not a billionaire's vocation, but it is a job. It's a real job with real benefit and real pay, and I'm proud to be able to make a living doing it.
Yes. Okay. So, being that acting requires depth, vulnerability, and the ability to become someone else at any moment, what's your process for preparing for a role?
I think that acting is one of the few jobs where there is a almost unlimited resource, or free-ish resource out there. And that's now, since everything is streaming, this unlimited access to movies and TV on streaming. And when a role is brought to me, I will look over the role, kind of get a feel for who the character is, and then I will delve into this vast database in my head of movies that I've seen, and if need be, I'll look at another movie to get an idea of that type of character, and I'll spend a few days just kind of talking to myself and going over lines and becoming that character.
So I'm thinking about, again, we followed your career as it's continued. So we've seen you be the dude, like I like to call him, the dude in the car commercial that's getting in the car, and we saw that commercial like everywhere. People were calling me, they were like, I just saw your brother in that car commercial again. And then it transformed to being a gangster, right? Roles that were like having you as gangsters. I'm just thinking about the various dynamics of the different roles. And then there was that the role when you were like a store owner, right? So that was in
Chicago P.D.
That was okay,
Yeah,
Chicago PD. Yeah. And that one actually, when you talk about streaming, that one's going right now.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
So,
Yeah. It's on Peacock now. It aired on NBC on October 29th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it immediately went to streaming on Peacock. So now it lives forever on Peacock streaming. And I think next year it'll go on to Ion streaming on like their Chicago Monday or something like that.
So in that episode, you are a store owner,
Mhm.
which is a totally different character. So I'm just thinking about, we have the documentary, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute,
Mhm.
but the documentary, which is you as yourself, right?
Mhm.
Then there's the car buyer,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Generic car buyer dude. And
Mhm.
then I like saying dude. And then there's the gangster role, right?
Mhm.
Where you were like threatening people's lives because they
Mhm.
didn't pay back their
Mhm.
debt,
That's my
right?
favorite.
And that was your favorite? Yeah, that premiere was fun.
I like the bad guy.
We were the gangster. And then there is this new role in Chicago PD when you actually were the store owner that were helping them solve the case.
Mhm.
So as you think about all those different roles, very different people,
Mhm.
like embodying their emotion, their history, the mindset.
Mhm.
What does that transition feel like for you? Does it feel like you're different people? What does that feel like?
It's weird. It all feels like it's me, just different versions of me.
Okay.
I love playing the villain. It is
Which is truly you.
the
Cheers.
the
He's the villain.
the more
In the family,
Yeah.
he's the villain.
I'm the villain. The more dastardly, the better. Dastardly. I'm bringing that word
Especially when
back.
we're getting in trouble from mom.
Absolutely.
The villain. Yeah.
But no, they all feel like different versions of me.
Okay.
Because for a commercial, it's a little different than for TV or film. With a commercial, I'm if there's dialogue, the dialogue usually has to be verbatim, right? Because it's a
Okay.
product that I'm selling,
Mhm.
and it has to be exactly this way, and the director has a way it needs to be said. But for film and TV, it's more transformative. It's more collaborative with me and the writers and the director. And I can typically go in and make that character mine, and that's where it becomes fun because I feel like a writer, I feel like a creator on the project. And if it's something just as simple as a store owner, I look at the dialogue and I say, well, I wouldn't say that. This is what I would say.
Okay.
Um, and when we're on set and we're doing the blocking where we're walking through kind of the choreography of how the scene flows, and I go, well, I think it would be better if I'm moving in this direction and talking while I'm doing this, or I'm putting things away. And the directors, this is a multi-million-dollar budget project, and they're all it's all collaborative, and we're all just kind of walking through the pacing and everything else. And then we get to see the finished piece, and it looks terrific. It looks natural.
Yeah.
And it looks like it flows. It looks natural. I mean, it looks organic. When in actuality, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going.
Wow. That makes me think about too, in the midst of all those different characters, and this was the one that was probably the most amazing transformation for me, was when you were in Mayor of Kingstown. And they actually transformed him into an unhoused person. I was like, who is that? But just
That was
to
exciting.
see that
That was
transformation of you, doing something like Mayor of Kingstown,
Mhm.
and then see the other dynamic, which is something like Chicago PD.
Mhm.
And you're still the same person.
Yes. And it was fun. I mean, Mayor of Kingstown, that was one of those chances where I got to work with animals. And the two things that are the hardest thing to work with in film are children and animals.
Okay.
And that scene, I got both. I had
Okay.
a very young baby, probably about a year or so old, and I had about 15 rats that I was working with in that scene. And
Check me out.
And the rats were so. Of course, they were trained rats, but.
Wait, trained rats?
Yeah, these are professionals. They're
Professional
union.
rats.
Yeah, they
Union professional union
Unionized
rats.
rats.
They are
Okay.
unionized rats, absolutely. And
I think I know a couple of those. No.
they were snuggling up to the dead body in the scene, but it was a lot of fun. And obviously, when we shoot, we do a lot of takes, and there were some takes. They always come away when I see the final edit, and there's always this take that I wish would have made it into the final edit, and it didn't. And there was a take that I did on Mayor Kingstown where I fell, and I thought it was awesome. but it didn't make it into the final. And I fell. I ended up falling. The first time I fell, it was organic. It was kind of on purpose, kind of by accident. I just kind of went with it. But the director loved it, so we ran like another 5 takes of me falling.
Nice.
And but then it ended up not making it into the final edit, and I was a little upset about it. I was like, I fell on camera, and it was great, and it didn't work out. But,
Yeah.
but it's exciting. I always like. It's kind of surreal to see myself on the big screen or on TV.
I was just gonna ask you that. Like, how does it feel in those phases when you're looking at yourself? Like, I can imagine it's sort of like that's me, but it's sort of like an out of body kind of thing. Like, I did that. Like, that's me.
It's funny. So the first time I see it, I'm ridiculously critical.
Yes. Okay.
Because I'm like, okay, is that the take they went with? Oh, I like the other take. That's the first thing. And then after that has passed, then I just kind of enjoy the piece. And so far I've been blessed that the projects I've been associated with have been really good projects. And so I see the finished piece, and it's fun, it's entertaining to watch. And so I'm just enjoying the story. The preview, the premiere that we had at the festival, it's a good movie.
Yes.
Despite the fact that I was in it. I mean, it's just hell, but it was a good movie. So I was just really into the movie, and I'm just watching myself being a part of something that's really cool, and I love it.
That's how I felt when we watched the premiere, because I went into it like, oh, my big brother.
Because I'm taller, not because I'm older. Anyway, continue.
Order. But anyway. But I really was enjoying the movie because it really was a good movie. And to see you in that and be great in that movie was amazing to me. And I was so excited. And I didn't even see Ken, my big brother. I saw Ken Bray, the actor and the character that you played at the time. I completely did not see my brother anymore. I saw the character, and that's a credit to your craft. And so I'm very proud of you.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very
actually
much.
talking about family communications, I felt a certain kind of way because he was like a thug, and he was not a good person in that particular movie. And
I
was
loved it.
I was feeling a certain kind of way
I loved it.
for a minute. I had to say I felt a certain kind of way about how you was acting in that movie. But we knew it was acting. So
Yeah.
back to the person that we know.
Somebody's got to be the bad guy.
And I love being the bad guy. It's so fun being that. It's because the antithesis of what I am in real life,
That is true.
at least to most people.
Okay.
I do have a funny
I
story
can
about
neither
that.
confirm nor deny that allegation.
I had a real quick, if I have time. There's a story about the way I landed that role. Most roles that I get either come through my agent or through a typical casting site, but 90% of them are coming through my agents. But that one, I got a blind email, and I get blind emails a lot, but they're typically from an independent filmmaker that's like, hey, I don't have a budget. Can you be in my movie? And I do this for a living, so I'm for the most part I kind of need to be paid to be in a movie.
Right.
But so at first when I saw the email, I thought it was just one of those, but then I looked, I read the whole thing, and it turned out that this particular movie, the movie's called Down to the Felt, that this particular movie, there was another actor cast in the role that I was originally cast in, and there's an actor by the name of Lance Reddick. And
Yes.
he's an actor that I know. He's been in a John Wick series. He's been in a lot of things, and I respect him a lot. But unfortunately, he passed away just before they began production. And so the producer reached out to me, and they had done research. They found me on online, and they liked my vibe, and they said that they felt like me being in the movie would be kind of a tribute to Lance Reddick, and would I like the role? And of course I was like, yes, I like the role. But then after I accepted it, I was a little bit, well, one, I was humbled, but also it was a little bit intimidating because this is an accomplished actor who's been
Yes.
doing this for a long time, and to just be kind of thrown into his shoes, into this kind of quintessential role in the movie of the heavy in this movie, it was a shock. But the director loved it. The movie's doing great. I'm happy with it. Everybody's happy with it, and it gets to be another feather in my cap.
And I forgave you for being a thug.
And we had to tell Mom to cover her ears.
Yes, we did have to tell Mom to cover her ears. So we had that. So let's talk about your Chasing 600. Yes.
Chasing 600, yes. So at the end of 2014, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And it happened to coincide with me beginning my journey as a professional powerlifter. And I was in a documentary about powerlifters that ended up not ever being finished, but I had footage from that I had shot myself, that I was going to, add to the production. And so kind of the timing of when I had started shooting, when I had started competing, coincided right with my diagnosis. And it was completely unscripted, and it ended up being kind of this reality TV short thing that was happening in real time. And so it ended up being my story from diagnosis all the way through to treatment of my prostate cancer. And it was happening, I was in school at the time, so I'd be in school studying, and then on my breaks, I would be training for competition. Then I would travel to a competition. I would film the competition. Then I would come back and I would spend 2 weeks editing the episode. Then I would release the episode on my YouTube channel and go right back into competition for the following episode. And it was just this continuous cycle that was my story unfolding. And so the new episode was only, whatever was in the episode was 2 weeks old. It was never, this happened. And I remember being I was building a fan base while the episodes were coming out. And I remember being at a competition, and I was shooting for episode 5, I think it was. And one of the, and so people were coming out to competitions to see me because they were following the documentary. And someone comes up to me and goes, "Well, what happens next?" And I go, "I don't know, dude." I'm like, you tell me. I mean, this is happening in real time. I don't know what it is. Are you going to do the thing this episode? I'm like, I don't know. We'll find out, because this is not scripted. But I think in general, it became sort of the beginning of me as being an activist for prostate cancer awareness and early treatment. And filming the documentary helped me get through it, because there were some low points emotionally during this whole thing. But knowing that people were kind of counting on me and cheering for me kept me from giving up, and kept me pushing for the goal in the documentary, and to make sure that my treatment stayed, that everything stayed on track. And spoiler alert, I didn't die at the end.
Oh, he's here. So, I'm looking at a couple of statistics here. According to the American Cancer Society, in 2025, the U.S. is projected to see about 313,780 new cases of prostate cancer, and about 35,770 deaths. So that's close to 10%. For Black or African American men. They are among the highest documented incidence rates of prostate cancer in the world. In 2020, for every 100,000 non-Hispanic Black men, about 154 new cases were diagnosed. For non-Hispanic white men, the rate was about 95 per 100,000. Compared to white men, Black men are 1.7, almost 2 times more likely to be diagnosed, and 2 times or more likely to die from cancer, prostate cancer. So it's not like it's what that statistic is saying to me is it's not that men aren't finding out, but for some reason they're not getting the treatment. So there's a large segment of Black men who aren't getting diagnosed, but then there's an even larger percentage because of the numbers that we know of, because we don't know how many have it and aren't getting diagnosed, that know, but they're still more likely to die from that cancer. And this is one other statistic I just want to say before you kind of respond to this information, because it's family communication, right? This is about family conversation. About 1 in 8 men overall will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. But for Black men, the odds are often quoted as higher. 1 in every 6 Black men will be diagnosed. So that means if you and your guys are together, and it's 6 of y'all, the chances of at least one of you all having prostate cancer is very, very high. So it's saying Black men are more likely than white men to be diagnosed at a more advanced stage because why?
That particular answer or my feeling on that is, of course, it's my opinion, but that really strikes a nerve with me because, our father lost his life due to complications of prostate cancer. When I was married, the best man at my wedding lost his life to prostate cancer in his 40s. Our uncle had prostate cancer. And I've met very many African American men who've had prostate cancer, since I became an advocate. And fortunately, prostate cancer is a very, very treatable form of cancer. And so going back to the question, then if it's very treatable, why are we dying at a much higher rate? And it's sadly, I think it has a lot to do with culture and the stigma. And I was just at I love stand-up comedy, and I was just at a show, Black comedian, and he did he had a whole set because he's in his 50s or whatever. So he did a whole set about, hey, when you're in your 50s, you got to get the physical, blah, blah, blah. And he does this whole thing, and he does and I knew it was coming. He was doing the prostate check joke. And so the stigma in the African American, in the community in general, is that the prostate check is the quote unquote digital rectal exam, or the finger up the butt exam, for lack of a cleaner way to say it. And so that tied with, not going to say toxic masculinity, but masculinity has us at a higher rate fearing the doctor because of that, when the reality is that I was diagnosed via a blood test. That was it. So I'm very proactive about my health. I go every year for a physical, and every year for the physical, they draw my blood, they check my triglycerides, they check my, all the other things that are in the blood. And so this one year, I just said to my doctor, hey, can you check for prostate cancer too? And he said, sure. So he just added it to my list. So every year after that, I just go get my blood drawn. They check for everything and prostate cancer. It's the PSA is the actual test. And so every year, that's just automatic. Check for prostate, which I think should be automatic anyway, but for whatever reason, they don't do that. And then this one year, the doctor says, hey, your PSA is elevated. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? She said, I think it means we need to go talk to urology. Okay. And I go talk to urology, and they say, okay, well, it looks like this is unusually high. So now we need to schedule for a biopsy. We do the biopsy, and we find out that I do have cancer. But I found out so early in the process that I had time to decide on how I wanted to deal with it, schedule my surgery 7 months in advance. I could compete while The cancer was there, and it stayed under control the entire time. And it was all because I just had a blood test.
It was the blood
It was a blood
test.
test.
So I'm wondering too, I mean, I often hear people say things like, well, from history, what doctors have done. And that brings to mind the Tuskegee syphilis study, where there was an experimental experiment. It was like a 40-year unethical medical study that was conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service. It was in Tuskegee, Alabama, and it was looking at the natural progression of untreated syphilis in Black men. So I think that could be a factor in this too, that we all know of this, because it went from 1932 to 1972. So there's still quite a few people who are alive that remember 1972. And in this test, what they did was 600 men were enrolled, 399 with syphilis and 201 without. They were misled. They were told they were getting medication, but in reality, it was just about watching to see, when we hear those lists, if you have syphilis, this, and this would happen. It was really an unauthorized study. And so Black men and women have heard of this story, and it makes people afraid to want to talk to medical professionals. And I'm not saying that there aren't issues in some places with some doctors when they have that. The other thing that I think could potentially have a part in this is such a heavy layered thing, but it's a thing that it's important for us to communicate with each other about, is there's nothing like hearing those words, you have cancer. I mean, I remember watching 600 and in an episode when she told you, you have cancer. Can you talk to our men in our audience about what that moment was like for you to hear the doctor say to you, you have cancer?
It was surreal. It was I was in denial walking into the biopsy, because you see cancer stories and things like that, and you say to yourself, there's this image of what a person with cancer is, how they act, how they move, how they look. And I had just won the gold medal in powerlifting 2 days prior to being diagnosed, to actually receiving my diagnosis. And so I literally was the strongest I'd ever been in my life, right? In the best shape of my life, like quantifiably measured. And so when I walked into the doctor's office, I knew that I was negative for prostate cancer.
Okay.
And then she just kind of matter-of-factly said, well, you have cancer. And so it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I immediately thought of, my friend Brian, who had died, 10 years prior from prostate cancer. And so I was like, that's me. I'm next, and that's it, and.
But it wasn't it.
No, I was not.
But it felt like in that moment.
In that moment, it absolutely felt horrific. But then I collected myself. I had already done, some research, and I said, okay, well, remove it. I've done my research. You don't need the prostate to live. It's like, take it out. Just get it out of me. And they were like, yeah, we can do that. It was because I had detected it early enough that we were in a window to where we could have surgery and remove it with a very good prognosis, and which goes back to the importance of early detection. And I did want to comment on the Tuskegee study and that stigma, because I hear stories about that, and having gone through my particular journey, I hear things like that, and I say those are excuses. And it points to a lack of education culturally, in our community, because there is a difference between a study and going to the doctor to get tested. There is, and it is important for a 25-year-old man in 2025 who was born in the 21st century, there was no excuse for that man to say, oh, I'm not going to the doctor because they did a study back in the 1960s in Tuskegee. There was no excuse for him to say that. I can give a pass to an 80-year-old man, a 75-year-old man. I can give a pass, but not to someone born in the 21st century, because at this particular point, you need to understand the difference between someone saying, hey, we want to experiment on you, which is what a study is, and you saying, hey, check my blood and see if I have cancer. There is a difference. And saying I don't want to go because they're going to take my organs or they're going to give me syphilis, no, that's just excuses.
And that's not knowing what you don't know.
So one thing you were saying was that you asked for the blood test that told you that something was wrong and then to have another test. But you also said that you were you felt the strongest that you had ever been. So one of the things I think is very important to say or get people to realize is that you don't have to feel sick. You don't have to look sick. But the test is important. And you were how old when you first started taking the test?
I started in my 30s.
Okay.
Which was young for prostate cancer, but there was no extra cost for the test. And to be clear, the prostate cancer is one of those cancers that when the symptoms appear, it's too late.
Okay.
That's the important thing. So a lot of guys will say, I feel fine. There's nothing wrong. If something goes wrong, then I'll deal with it. Well, if you wait until something goes wrong, the cancer is more than likely metastasized and it's causing other issues, in which case it's probably too late. And that's the sad part about it.
So I guess a bigger concern for me in my mind is that's just another fail on our system, really, because it's a test that can be given.
It should be.
That should be given. Because I think another issue too is people that would go to the doctor and maybe get the test. You're thinking that you don't have to even take it until you get older. And then also thinking that you're going to see some signs or some symptoms to have the test, or assuming that the doctor will order the test, you know, because you're trusting that they're testing you for things that, they should, or they, you're old enough to get whatever, however that looks. So I think that's part of a problem, really, is to know to take your health in control and to also know that this is a test that you need to have.
Absolutely.
And to start asking questions about it, or just to say that you want this test done.
Absolutely.
So that to me speaks, because I know lots of people that are going to the doctor and are taking a larger role in their own health. And understanding, I know for me, my chart is extremely helpful. I know when I used to go to the doctor before and we had tests and results and things like that, I didn't really understand, or I didn't know how to ask the questions, or what questions to ask. I think that's a huge resource that a lot of people have that actually works. It makes things less scary for me personally. And I noticed having that, I've started to ask more questions and be proactive instead of reactive to a lot of things. Your story, your experience, and others that I've known have also made me be a lot more aware of how important it is to go for your checkups, to ask questions, to get tested for different things that I found out a while ago that you don't get tested for everything. I was one of those people that was thinking that when you go to the doctor and they tell you what you're going to get tested for, I'm thinking, I'm good because they test everything. And then I learned that they don't. So then I started asking myself, no, test everything. And so that was an empowering feeling for me too. So just to bring that out, because that's a test that they don't give, that you have to ask for. So just understanding that.
Yeah, I think that you make some very good points. It is empowering, and it is important that we as a community, as a Black community, it is important that we take control of our health. And that doesn't just mean giving up red meat or, 10,000 steps a day. It means going to the doctor, listening to the doctor, understanding what the doctor is saying. And there are some failings and some indictments that I will say that are on the medical profession, in that, just like women are told, get your mammogram every X number of years starting at this age, prostate cancer is kind of analogous to that. And so it should be automatic that if I'm 40 years old and I go to get a physical and a blood test, PSA should automatically be on the list, especially if I'm an African American man. But it's not.
Yeah.
So it's my responsibility to make sure that it is, because if I die from prostate cancer, it's not the doctor's fault that did not order the PSA test. I'm dead is dead. So I would rather get a bunch of negative PSAs and be, and be like, oh, I just, wasted some lab tech's time, testing for prostate cancer, as opposed to just not getting the test at all and not even being aware.
Yeah.
And then end up, too far down the line to do anything about it.
Exactly. So, thank you.
My pleasure.
That was a lot. So let's lighten up a little bit, and I'm sure the audience will want to know what projects should we be looking for,
And where can they find your information?
Yes.
Well, I guess we'll start with the heavy one first. The Chasing 600 is available on my YouTube channel. That's at Mr. Ken Bray is the channel name on YouTube, and there's a playlist called Chasing 600, so you can watch that entire thing. I think it's entertaining. It was a blast to do, and it was an emotional roller coaster. I'm in Mayor of Kingstown season 3. That's available on Paramount Plus. I'm on Chicago P.D. season 13. That's on Peacock now, streaming.
And that's episode
5 of the
I think it's
episode.
called Miami.
Yeah, episode 5, Miami of season 13. I'm in Down to the Felt, which is streaming on Apple TV. And then there are 3 movies in post-production right now that I'll be appearing in. One is called Dirty Rose. One is called Life Game. Both of those I play. Well, I think in Dirty Rose, I'm kind of a bad guy. Again,
Not kind of.
I'm a bad guy in Dirty Rose. A lot of yelling and screaming and cussing in that movie.
Don't take the family to see that.
And I play, I don't know what you want to call my character in Life Game, but I'm in Life Game.
Somebody who could not be trusted.
I definitely can't be trusted. And then I'm in a slasher film called Slay.
Which we know I will not be watching.
And
I will.
I play a priest. My role is fine. I'm not a villain. I'm a priest.
But there's slashing involved.
Yeah, there's
so
definitely
your
some-
girl will not be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. But yeah, and other than that, I think those are the only things that are on the horizon right now for me. So there's 3 movies to look out for, and
And they can follow you on Instagram, YouTube.
I'm on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
Okay.
You can just find me at kenbray.official on all those platforms, and a follow or 2 would be greatly appreciated.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you for blessing this space with your story and your discipline and your authenticity. Because, today we're talking about communication. We're talking about family communication, and this happens to be our family. But you have your family, and in that, it's important to be authentic with one another as best as you can. Always remember to protect yourself. Your journey is powerful. And your purpose is undeniable, and I'm gonna model this. It's great being your sister.
my
Y'all saw the look?
my older sister.
It's great being your older sister.
Right. It's great being your baby sister.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yes, that's what we're calling it. But as I always say, I have always looked at my brother, Ken Bray. I've always looked at you as my superhero. Even when I was little, I thought that you could do anything and everything. And clearly, you are living up to that model right now in real time. And it is a pleasure and a blessing to watch you, to learn from you, and to be inspired by you.
And we are glad that you got the test and you got treated so that you can be here with us today.
Thank you very
Yes.
much. Thanks for having me. And you two are, yes, I love both of you. You're my sisters.
All right, family. Now that the love fest is over, we're recharged and we're getting ready to head into Pearls of Positivity. So when we come back, Lady Malika is going to drop some wisdom for your spirit. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you real soon.
This portion of the show is proudly sponsored by Lady Malika, singer and songwriter whose soulful voice turns every stage into a sanctuary. From jazz-kissed R&B ballads to feel-good funk anthems, Lady Malika's music is the soundtrack for people who crave authenticity and joy. Catch Lady Malika live, where she and her band serve high-energy sets that leave audiences floating. Can't make it in person? Stream Lady Malika's latest album, Undercover, as well as original music, I Miss You and My Energy, on all major platforms. Follow Lady Malika on all social platforms for behind-the-scenes rehearsals, wellness check-ins, and exclusive merch drops. Ready to elevate your event? Book Lady Malika for weddings, corporate galas, or community festivals at www.ladymalika.com and mention Positivity Playlist for a discount off your booking fee. Lady Malika, where melody meets mindfulness. Now, back to the show. Welcome to the Pearls of Positivity, the part of the show where we pause, breathe, and drop a little light into your spirit. Yes. Today's Pearl is all about the courage to communicate with love. Family communication is a journey. Some days it's smooth, some days it's heavy, and some days it feels impossible. But here's the truth. Healing begins with honesty, but honesty begins with courage.
And that's right. I want you to hear this. You deserve to speak your truth without fear, without guilt, and without shrinking.
Yes.
I'm talking to you. Your feelings matter. Your voice matters. You do not have to silence yourself just to keep the peace. One powerful thing I've learned is clarity is kindness to yourself and others. When you communicate clearly, you create space for understanding. Even if the conversation is uncomfortable, even if the outcome is uncertain, the act of speaking from a place of love is always powerful.
Yes, it is. And here's another pearl. Not every conversation has to happen in the moment you feel it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need time, and that time to process. Time to soften that emotion, and time to prepare your heart. There's no shame in stepping back and gathering yourself and coming back with love instead of frustration.
Yeah, so let's talk about listening. Truly listening. Healing communication isn't just about talking. I mean, most of us live from anybody that's in an accident, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're in an accident, right, I'm going to say you ran into me, you're going to say I ran into you,
Yeah.
right? But true communication is really about listening to the other person, and it's about creating a space where the other person, even when their truth really challenges your perspective, You know, that's why the police got to show up when we had an accident to say what really happened. You said I hit you. I said you hit me.
That you
But,
did.
you know, they get the fact, just the facts, ma'am. They put the facts together and then they determine what really happened. And it's even when their perspective surprises you, listening is still an act of love that each one of us want and each one of us deserve to receive in return.
Yes. So here's your reflection for today. What is one thing you wish you could say to your family member? And what would change if you said it with love instead of fear? So let's sit with that for a little bit.
Yeah, the beauty of communication is this. It builds connections. It rebuilds bridges. It breaks generational habits. And it gives you the freedom to show up in your relationship as your full, authentic self. So here's the pearl that you can carry with it. Your truth spoken in love is a healing force for you and for those who hear it.
Yes. Yes. And let's take a breath. So let's inhale peace. And let's exhale release. And remember that every conversation rooted in love is a step towards healing.
Yeah. And so that's today's pearl of positivity. May it guide you, ground you, and help you grow.
So that pearl was everything. Now let's keep the conversation going. Up next is Common Ground, where we uncover real solutions and shared experiences around rebuilding family communication.
Okay, so welcome to Common Ground, the space where we take real life topics, we break them down, and we find shared experiences that connect us all. Today, we're continuing the conversation of family communication, but shifting into something powerful, how we begin to rebuild what feels broken.
Yeah. Let's be real. No family is perfect. Every family has moments of misunderstanding, distance, hurt feelings, and unspoken tension.
Yeah.
But the beautiful part is communication gives us the tools to rebuild, reset, and reconnect.
Yeah, so I'm thinking we can start with healing doesn't require perfection,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It requires willingness.
Yes.
So, read the room. Read the room. We'll start with that, right? We're waiting for the right moment, the right tone, the right words, or for someone to make the first move. Like, you apologize to me first.
Right.
But the truth is the healing starts the moment somebody decides that they want something better for the relationship, even if they haven't said anything to the other person yet.
Absolutely. And sometimes that someone is you.
Mm-mm.
Yes. Sometimes that someone is you. It doesn't mean you're taking the blame. Not at all. It just means that you're choosing growth. You're choosing peace. You're choosing connection over ego. One thing I see a lot is that fear reaching out because of past hurt. Yeah. But here's the thing. The past explains you, but it does not have to define your future.
Yeah, that makes me think about, I say sometimes who you are today doesn't have to go through the filter of your past.
Yes.
You know that happened. It's in your memory, but it does not have to go through that filter because there's some things in the past that you might not have wanted to go the way that they did. So each day you got a new day to choose who are you today?
Yes.
Now you might have sure enough been who that was yesterday.
Yeah.
But who are you right here today? And so let's break that down to a few practical steps for rebuilding communication in families. First, we're going to say start small. Every conversation does not have to be the big, heavy, knockdown, drag out. Start with something simple. A text, a check-in that just simply says, I'm thinking about you.
Yes.
No expectations. I'm thinking about you. It opens the door without present or pressure. The next thing is speak from I's, not you.
Right.
Okay. When you say you did, you never, you always, people shut down. But
Yes.
when you say I felt, or I need,
Yes.
or it's my hope, I hope.
Yes.
That shifts the energy from blaming to understanding. And then the third thing is set your boundaries with love. Boundaries are not punishment. They actually are clarity. You can love someone deeply and still need emotional safety from the person that you love.
Yes.
So if you know the person that you're going to talk to, you don't completely feel safe, then it's not a bad thing to have some boundaries. Do it in a public place. Have somebody else present, so that both of you are safe in the conversation.
Yeah. And here's another big one. Give people space to grow. Sometimes the version of them you remember is not the version of them they are becoming. People evolve, people heal, people learn. And sometimes rebuilding communication starts with giving each other the grace to be different.
Yeah, now we're not talking about if you see no evidence. You got to see a little something, a little glimmer, a sparkle, or something, or some change. I need a little something, a little something, a little something, just a little something. But somebody once said to me, and it really pricked my heart. They said, if all of us were judged by our worst moment, none of us could stand. And I was really hot with somebody when they told me that. And this person, as far as I was concerned, was all the way wrong. And that person said to me, if all of us were judged by our weakest moment, none of us could stand. And I was like, now you're making me mad, because
It kept you
I
quiet.
really wanted to be mad with this person.
It kept you quiet, didn't it?
But, when we talk about expectations, it's the expectations of ourselves too.
Mhm.
Sometimes we're communicating out of, I don't want to look like a punk. I don't want to look like a pushover. I want to look like the bad guy. When a lot of our communication struggles just come from expecting others to communicate the way we communicate. Some people need time. Some people need to be reassured. Some people need directness. That would be me. Some people need softness. And then understanding somebody else's communication style is really the key. So we affectionately call that read the room. Reading the room of who you're talking to, and what you're talking about.
And love doesn't always sound the same. But if it can always be understood, when we lead with intention, it can be understood. So lead with intention.
Yeah.
Lead with intention.
Whew. That was good. I just have a question for our listeners. So here's my question to you all. What is one relationship in your family that could shift if someone decided to listen a little bit more, speak a little softer, or dare to love a little bit louder? Think about that. Sit with that.
And while you're thinking, remember this. Communication is not about winning. It's not about winning. It's about understanding. It's about connection. And it's about building bridges where walls once stood. So even if the first conversation is awkward, and even if it's short, and even if it doesn't go perfectly, you showed up. Remember, you showed up. And that's the foundation of rebuilding.
So today, as we stand on common ground together, we encourage you to take one small step toward someone you love. One honest moment, one peaceful conversation, one opportunity to do our favorite word, reset. Yes.
Because families heal conversation by conversation, heart by heart, and choice by choice.
Yeah. And that's today's common ground. Give it in, bring it in. So that was needed. I mean, yeah, that was needed. I'm glad we had this conversation today about communication and families. Now let's take it to our community corner. We're talking about real ways you can support local food pantries and make a difference. All right. So welcome to the Community Corner, the part of the show where we highlight ways you can make a real difference right where you live. Today, we're focusing on something near and dear to so many families, food pantries, and how we can support them.
Because yes, food insecurity is real. And food pantries all over the country, especially in our local neighborhoods, are carrying a huge load right now. They are feeding families and seniors, students, and individuals who simply need a little help. And the beautiful thing is, we all have options to be part of that support.
Yeah, so let's break down some meaningful ways to get involved. One is donate food thoughtfully, right?
Yes.
We're not talking about those random items in the back of your cabinet that's expired, right?
Yes.
Things that pantries actually need. We're talking about protein items like tuna, chicken, beans, rice, pasta, grains, canned vegetables and fruit, baby food and formula,
Yes.
right? Shelf-stable milks, and then hygiene products that are often forgotten.
And don't forget culturally relevant foods, things our communities recognize and know how to prepare. Sometimes that makes all the difference in dignity and comfort.
Another thing that you can do is volunteer your time. Pantries need our help. And so if you can, things like sorting donations, packing boxes, distributing food, helping family choose the items, carrying out things to cars. It doesn't have to be every week or, even just an hour can make a difference.
And donate financially. $5, $10, $20 can stretch way farther than you think. Many pantries have wholesale or bulk purchase access. Your donation goes a long way.
Something else that you can think about is hosting a mini food drive at your job or at your church, at your schools, even at your friend groups. A small drive can feed dozens of families.
And use your voice to spread awareness. Share pantry locations, hours, and needs on social media, chat groups, community boards, church announcements, and neighborhood apps.
Also, you can partner with local community organizations. You can collaborate with nonprofit organizations, schools, local farms, grocery stores, or community centers. Also, many places want to help. They just need someone to coordinate or initiate the connection. And here's to the heart of it. Helping food pantries isn't just charity. It's about being a part of a larger community. It's making sure that our neighbors, elders, children, and families don't go hungry. And it doesn't happen just one season out of the year. That's all year round. And that is love in action.
So the question for today is, what small act can you commit to? A can of beans, an hour of service, a social media post, a donation, it all matters.
So together, we can support the hands that support our communities.
Beautiful. And now let's wrap up this powerful episode. It's time for our closing reflections. So stay right here. You don't want to miss this final message.
Well, family, what an episode.
Yes.
Today we went deep. We explored communication in our family.
Yes.
And we sat with honesty, we embraced healing, and we even learned from the incredible journey of actor and powerlifter and our brother, Ken Bray. Everything we talked about today reminds us that growth is possible, healing is possible, and connection is possible.
And I want to speak directly to our listeners. You are deserving of healthy communication, meaningful relationships, and spaces where your voice can be heard. Whether it's with your family, friends, community, you can be heard. Or even with yourself. Take the first step with love. You don't have to get it perfect. Just be willing. Just be willing.
So before we go, remember to support your local food pantries, not just one time a year, all year round. A simple act, a donation, a share, an hour of your time can shift somebody's whole week.
And make sure you stay connected with us. Follow, like, subscribe, and join the Positivity Playlist community. Share this episode with someone who needs encouragement, a little inspiration, or a little reminder of healing conversations, and they matter.
We do appreciate you. We see you. And we thank you for rocking with us every single episode. Continue to choose peace, choose communication, and choose positivity every single day. And as always, stay lifted, stay loved, and stay in your light.
Yes. This is the Positivity Playlist podcast, where your journey
meets your joy.
Loving the Positivity Playlist vibes? Help us keep the inspiration rolling. Check the description box below for simple ways to donate. Every gift, big or small, powers more good energy episodes. Thanks for being part of the uplift.